market.
For the market.
Right, absolutely.
The only question I had is, can we mix and match the general obligation debt and the utility debt? Does that not create a challenge, or is that fine?
Unless we get a revolving loan from KDHE, all of our debt is so far as issued general obligation, so it's still general obligation.
Even
They don't call
if-
it utility debt.
Okay.
We pay it from the utility funds, but it's not utility revenue debt.
Right. Okay. Any other questions for Laura or Tom?
Yeah, I haven't done all the numbers crunching here, but it just seems like, just in that water fund, the number is so large of a savings to pay it off early. It's hard to believe that all these other ones drag it down to only $7,500. So you're saying they've done all that, and
I mean, all I did was go through the debt schedules about what the new debt was going to be versus what we're paying now, and that's where I got the cash flow savings. And Tom did the refunding analysis for whether or not your principal repayment. I mean, I'm not sure what you're asking me. I'm sorry, I'm not following anymore.
that's all right.
I mean, all I did was compare debt schedules and say, okay, it's just like if you refinance your car.
Right.
Now I owe less money by the payment, not by the principal, the payment. So all I did was compare new debt schedule versus old debt schedule, and that's where I said you got your annual savings. And then looked at the refinancing schedule, the total, if we accelerated the payment and the principal, see that you're actually earning less, then there's less interest cost on it, so that's probably why this isn't coming out quite like you expect down and dirty in your head.
Well, it doesn't seem to, I mean, just eyeballing it, it doesn't seem that it comes down to $7,500 a difference, but
Mm-hmm.
if you say it does, then...
Maybe I can add something that'll help. If you look at the second page of the analysis that we provided you, there's a bar graph that's titled percent of refunded principal outstanding at year end.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody see that? Part of the answer, I think, to Councilmember Fotovich's question is you'll see that the bulk of the principal that's being refunded really comes due in 13, 14, 15, relatively short period of time.
Right.
So there isn't much opportunity to accelerate because there's such a short period of time when most of that principal is outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't think council would be interested in leaving $400,000 on the table. So, I mean, that's time to refinance, because you can only assume interest will go up.
Right.
We hope. We all hope the interest rates start to go up, because that means the economy is getting better.
Absolutely.
So,
Other questions? This would be resolution 1890. How would council like to proceed with resolution 1890?
I move we adopt resolution number 1890, authorizing the offer for sale of certain general obligation refunding bonds of the City of Gardner, Kansas, Series 2013A.
Second. Motion Morrow, second Gregorczyk, that we adopt resolution 1890. Morrow.
Yes.
Gregorczyk.
Yes.
Harrison.
Yes.
Freeman.
Yes.
Fodovich.
Yes.
1890 passes. Thanks, Laura. Thank you, Tom. New business item number 2, consider a rezoning request for Five Star Trucking located at 604 West Main Street. This will be rezoning Z-12-04. Amy.
Just one sec while we get that loaded. Right, this will kind of cover both this item and has some slides related to the next item, which is the final plat for Five Star First Plat. So to start with, let's look at the current zoning. It's outlined in blue on your screen. The subject property is it comprises 4 different lots. The southern 2 lots are zoned M1 Restricted Industrial District, and the northern 2 lots are zoned R1 Single Family Residential District. The proposed zoning would take that entire area to the M1 Restricted Industrial District zoning. From the existing conditions, I've got a picture of the property from 2009 in the lower left part of the screen. And then the aerial photo is from 2012, so about a year old. You can see the northern 2.5 lots are vacant land, and there is a building, the one pictured on the southern lot. To give you a little background, this was actually, it came in with 4 separate applications. There was a site plan, the rezoning, the preliminary plat, and the final plat. Preliminary plats and site plans do not require council approval, so those are not before you tonight, but the rezoning and the final plat do require council approval. But because these are all somewhat related, I wanted to give you a little bit of background on the other applications as well. The site plan was first 2 years ago was approved in 2010. That was for a smaller version of the site plan that just encompasses the 2 lots that are already zoned M1. And that site plan did expire a few months ago. So the applicant wanted to expand that plan, acquired the 2 lots to the north, wanted to expand and create a larger storage area behind the building. Because the vacant lots are zoned R1, that does require the rezoning to M1. The expanded plan includes the same basic layout. It does have a tire storage area, fuel storage tank, and the larger truck parking lot on the north side. And then to join all 4 of those lots together, that was the reason for the preliminary plat and final plat applications. The future land use map actually shows the property to be reserved for commercial uses, not industrial. However, this has not been reevaluated since the US 56 Corridor Management Plan was adopted. Also, another thing that's changed since that was last significantly reevaluated was the intermodal facility was after this map was created. So commercial uses for the property in light of the changing land uses to the southwest of town and due to the proposed 56 Corridor Plan's reconfiguration of the road network in that area may make commercial uses less practical and industrial uses potentially more practical than was anticipated at the time of the plan. Now, the existing zoning can't really tell on this map, but on the previous one you could tell that the properties to the east and west were also zoned industrial. The Five Star First Plat, the preliminary plat, was approved at the January Planning Commission meeting, and the final plat was recommended for approval. This is the site plan that was approved by the Planning Commission in January. I've colored it in to help you see a little bit better. North is actually at the left of the screen. Parking lot for the office building, or the office portion of the building, and then the new addition, and the truck parking area would be behind a gate with the distinction at the northeast corner. And landscaping, with the new landscaping regulations, an extensive green buffer is required along the northern property line, which is adjacent to the residential. That does include a mixture of both evergreen and deciduous trees, and there are street trees required along the front. And the building elevations from the site plan. And then the site plan, as I mentioned, was approved. There were a number of stipulations that went along with that. including a couple of extra